I'm doing a small series on why the Bible is talking about beliefs. I really covered a lot of this in the previous part 1, so you might want to listen to that. Today I want to talk about how we sin by our beliefs, how we do evil by our beliefs, and how this is the heart of sin and the issue that God is getting at in the Bible. What we need to see about our sin against people is how our beliefs are what harm people the most. So many people want to correct just their behavior and act a little more nice, and you know, they try and be a bit more selfless, but they don't really do the hard work of really coming to understand what is actually good, what is actually fair, what is actually just, and really understanding that wisdom and then walking in that. A lot of people just take up a precept. Oh, be forgiving. They just take up a precept and they just live in it, and they don't really do the hard work of, well, what is the belief to have in that precept? What is Jesus getting at? What is he talking about? And the problem that we see all the time is that people try and live morally without ever really coming against their own spirit, their own attitudes, their own prejudice, their own heart, and really correcting their beliefs. And so they'll go on continuously wronging people in their beliefs while acting loving, while acting kind, and how can you resent me? I'm acting so loving and so kind. But it's their heart, it's their attitude towards people that is the real thing that needs to be corrected. Our sin is bound in our belief system. It's not just bound in our actions. Love your wife a little bit more and do the dishes at night. It's your attitude against your wife. It's your attitude of selfishness. It's your attitude of inequality. It's your attitude and your belief, this belief of elevating self, of seeking your own end, for seeking your own selfish gain, seeking your own ambition, whatever it is. And that's the issue, is it's the belief, it's the motivations of the heart. The sin in man is that we have contempt upon others. We try and hide this, we try and cover it up, but ultimately the belief system within the heart is the sin is how easily we have contempt upon others, how easily we cast others off as valuable, and we live purely for ourselves. This is the scales in our minds, and those scales have to be radically changed. We have to do the deep work in Christ to really have our mindset and our views of life to be really changed, because unless that attitude and that belief system within us is really changed and really contended against, that self, that stronghold of self is really rebuked and laid low, then we're never really getting at the work of the gospel. We're never really getting at the sin issue in the heart of our beliefs against our neighbor. We sin against God because we have wrong beliefs about God. From the very beginning, everything in us is ultimately contrary to God. We have we don't even acknowledge God. We don't even believe in God. We don't look to God for what is good and right and wise, and we don't acknowledge that the creator of creation is the only one that really deserves our allegiance, and really looking to him and seeing what he says is good and just and fair, and obeying him in that. The sinful heart inside of us has an entire belief system, a value system that doesn't even include God. When we talk about beliefs, this is where we sin against God in our belief systems. We have so many beliefs that are not acknowledging God, and we have so many beliefs that are contrary to what is really good and right. This is the problem with sin. Sin is that we are so convinced of our good, we're so convinced of our moral ideas or religious ideas, and we do not, and we're contrary to God. We're contrary to what is really good. In Psalm 73:11 it says, and they say, how does God know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? This is talking about like ungodly people. And this right here is a belief system. It's a belief that God does not no, that God is not even there, or God won't judge people, or that he's too blind to really see what's going on, and that we can prevail in life through sin, that we can prevail in life by oppression and just selfishly living and thinking that we can just kind of keep our motivations and our actions hidden in secret, and thinking that we can prevail in life outside of God's sovereignty, outside of his ruling over all of humanity. And this is a sinful belief. It's a sin against God, because we don't go through God, we try and go around God. And there's many ways that we can try and do that. It's all bound up in our belief system, and being convinced that God doesn't have the power that he has, or he doesn't have the goodness that he has, or whatever it is. It's all the beliefs that are contrary to God. This is what the Bible is talking about. When it talks about loving the Lord your God with all your soul, heart, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself, it's your beliefs. You can't do these things if you don't really get at your beliefs. You can't love your neighbor as yourself if you continue to store up in your heart beliefs that are contrary to love for your neighbor. So believing is about our attitude. It's about our spirit. It's about what we value inside of ourselves. And how we sin against God and how we sin against man is in our belief system. And that is what has to change.